All right, guys, if the last term is positive, both brackets will have the sign of the middle term. And I gave you an example where we have a trinomial where x squared is the first term, the middle term will be minus 5x, and the last term will be plus 4. You'll realize that plus 4 is just a constant. When you factorize a trinomial, you will start with the factors of the first term. What is our first term here? Our first term is x squared. What are the factors of x squared? To find the factors of x squared, you will just take x squared and find its square root, and that will give you x, which happens to be x to the exponent of 1, and that will be the same exponent as the middle term. Realize that the exponent of the middle term must always be half the exponent of the first term, okay? So I'm going to have a binomial multiplied with a binomial. So the first terms in each bracket will be the factors of x squared. In this case, it will be x and x. When I choose the factors of 4, I'm going to list the factors of 4. It is 1, 2, and 4. Obviously, for them to be factors, it means that when you multiply them, they will give you 4. Now, I need all of these. When you multiply 2 of these, they will give you 4. So if you want 4, you will take 4 times 1, it'll give you 4. Or you simply take 2 times 2, which will give you 4. Okay. Now you're going to find factors that will, when you add them, only when the last term is positive. When you add them, they must give you the middle term. Which factors are those? I'm going to highlight them. It is 1 and 4. When I add them, they're going to give me 5. But each bracket will take the sign of the middle term. And what is the sign of the middle term? It is this minus over there. And the last term, the factors of the last term, in this case, will just be 4 and 1. And that's how we factorize it. I hope you got that. Okay. Now here I'm going to have x minus 4 as well as x minus 1 as my vectors. As I've said in the previous video, once you get this, then you just have to remember this and apply it in all the examples that we are going to do, okay? Now, if I multiply my factors, just to check if your factors are correct, and I have to specify the following process is not required. It is in your best interest to ensure that you do it, to ensure that you got the right factors. How do I check if my factors are correct? I'm going to simply multiply the inner, which is minus 4 times x. Minus 4 times x will give me minus 4x. And then I'm going to multiply the outer, which is x and minus 1. X times minus 1 will give me minus x. When you add, this only happens, actually it happens with everything. When you add the inner and the outer, they must give you the middle term in the original product that was given to you. In this case, minus 4x minus x will give me minus 5. And obviously, the last terms will just be obvious in this case. Okay, as I've shown you how I got the first term, I did show you that the factors of the first term will simply be x and x. When you multiply x and x, that will give you x squared. The factors of the last term will be minus 4 and minus 1. When you multiply minus 4 and minus 1, they'll give you plus 4. The problem is given the middle term. So this is how you will get the middle term, meaning that these factors that I chose are correct. As I've said, this whole process that I'm doing here, it is just me checking if my factors are correct. It is not required. When they ask you to factorize, you just write x minus 4 as well as x minus 1, and that's it. Okay, so that will be 1 mark, that will be 1 mark. That's it. Sometimes they give both will be worth 1 mark. That's it. Okay. But it's in your best interest to show all these calculations. When you have done this calculation, you can be guaranteed that when it comes to factorization in that exam, in that question, I'm definitely sure that I got full marks. because you did check your answer. You can actually do this. Once you get used to it, you can do it in your head. You don't have to write it down. Okay, try this one out. Obviously, x squared will be the first term. The middle term will be minus 7x. The last term will be plus 12. That plus is very important because when it's minus, it's a different story. So what am I going to have as the first term in each bracket? So I'm going to open a bracket. What will be the first term in each bracket? It is x and x. What will be the signs in each bracket? Because the last term is positive, both brackets will take the sign of the middle term, which is negative. Then find the factors of 12. What are they? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Circle the factors that when you add, they will give you 7. What are they? Because the last term is positive, when you add these factors, they must give you 7. What are they? Remember, 6 goes with 2. So it can't be 6 and 2 because those that will give you 8. 1 goes with 12. It can't be those two because they will give you 13. So we're only left with 3 and 4. Got it? And that is why our factors here will be x minus 3, and x minus 4. Nice, eh? Straight to the point. Okay, as I've explained, x are simply vectors of x squared, and 12 will be 3 and 4. We choose 3 and 4. To check if the middle term is correct, we just have to multiply the inner and multiply the outer, and it must give you the middle term, which is minus 7x. You're getting it now, right? Perfect. Try this one out. So in this case, it'll be x minus 6 as well as x minus 2 vectors of 12 that when you multiply, they will give you 12. But when you add, they will give you 8, and those vectors will be 6 and 2. Brackets will take the sign of the middle term, which is negative. Okay, try this one out. Pretty much working with the same thing. It'll be 12 and 1, because when you add 12 and 1, that will give you 13. To check, you multiply the inner and the outer, and then you add the products of the two, which will give you 13x plus 12x will give you 13. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay, now when you factorize a trinomial, guys, remember the following steps. You need to first take out a common factor, and then you factorize. So let's look at this here. I firstly took out a common factor. And in brackets, I'm left with the trinomial where I have the first term, the middle term, and the last term. Now I need to find the factors of 6. When I multiply those two factors, they must give me 6. But when I add them, they must give me 5. What are they? It is simply 3 and 2. Note that both brackets will take the sign of the middle term, which is positive. To check if your answer is correct, you multiply the inner and the outer, and that will give you the middle term, okay, which will give you what we have inside that bracket. Please note that you still write 2 outside because that 2 is a factor. Okay, I'm going to leave you with this classwork. Try it out. Take approximately around 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. And in our next video, we will be doing solutions to this and help you factorize a trinomial where the last term is negative.